Hey, welcome to the Empowered and Free podcast. My name is Erin Kimbrell, and I'm a counselor, certified life coach, breathwork coach, and small town mom of two. I know firsthand what it feels like to live with high functioning anxiety. For most of my life, I had so much mental mess, anxiety, people pleasing, perfectionism, overthinking, constant worrying, and never feeling good enough. On my decade-long journey to feeling better, I've learned how to take back my life from high-functioning anxiety and helped others to do the same through my coaching and breathwork programs. Now I want to share everything I know with you. This podcast will help you feel empowered over your high-functioning anxiety and free to finally live the life of your dreams. Now, grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and dive into the episode. I'm Erin Kimbrell, and this is the Empowered and Free podcast. Hey, friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Empowered and Free podcast. Today, we are talking about 5 things people with high-functioning anxiety secretly do. Okay. No one would know these things. That's why I'm saying secretly, but don't feel surprised if I kind of call you out today. It is a kind call out, I promise, because you guys know I get it. I've struggled with high functioning anxiety for so much of my life. And now I'm able to finally feel free from so many of the things that used to hold me back. If you think you might have high functioning anxiety, or you're not really sure what that even is, I have a few episodes I want you to go listen to first. Episode 2 was how you know if you have high functioning anxiety. Episode 3 of the podcast was surprising ways high functioning anxiety affects all areas of your life. And episode 11 was the 3 biggest differences between high functioning anxiety and regular anxiety. So go check those out if you have not listened yet. You guys know, if you've already listened to those, you know a little bit about high functioning anxiety, and you know that basically we feel all the same things that people with regular anxiety, as I call it, feel, but we have a smile on our face. No one has any idea. We kind of are able to cover it up and put on a mask and move through it. And I want to share some of the things today to help you understand how you're really feeling, what you're really thinking, and some of these maybe secret things that you're doing and why you're doing them. That's important, right? Awareness is key. All of my clients know I say this. I probably should put this on a t-shirt and get myself some merch because I say this all the time. Awareness is key. Awareness is the first step. So hopefully today I make you a little bit more aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Number 1 of the 5 things people with high functioning anxiety secretly do, number 1 is zone out of a conversation. How often have you done this? You're talking to somebody and you realize that you have no actual idea what they've said. Whoopsie. I know this happens to me. This happens a lot when I'm talking. This sounds so terrible, you guys. I promise I'm a good mom, but when I'm talking to my kids or my husband, I'm just doing what I call the smile and nod. I'm just smiling and I'm just nodding, and I'm doing it here with you right now. You can't see me, but that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the smile and nod, but really I'm zoned out. And why do we do this? It's because when we're anxious, so much of where we spend our time is up in our heads. It's in our thoughts. It's in our mind. And we're usually worried about, well, pretty much anything, right? Maybe you're worried about something that's coming up. You're dreading something that's happening in the future. Maybe you're overthinking a situation. Or you're planning something out that could happen. Like you're just thinking through all the options, right? Maybe all those worst case scenarios are coming up. Anything that you fear, like it could be anything, right? But we're up in our head. A lot of times we're thinking about the future because a lot of anxiety is future focused, right? Again, thinking about things that could happen in the future. Maybe you notice that you're thinking about your past mistakes or your regrets. You're kind of replaying those cringeworthy moments. We've all been there, thinking about what you coulda, woulda, shoulda said and you didn't say. So sometimes when we're anxious, we are spending time kind of in the past, caught up on things that we wish we would have done, things that we wish we could have fixed. Again, mistakes that we made, all those things. What I want you to hear is that we're in the mind all the time. And the mind's not always really a kind place for us to be. We could be thinking about irrational fears or having intrusive thoughts, like thoughts pop in that are really scary, really jarring, and just seem to kind of come out of nowhere. So it could be things like that. We could just be having really critical, negative thoughts about ourselves, beating ourselves up. Like I said, we could be having fears pop up. There truly are so many things that we could be thinking, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're thinking, we're in the mind, we're not present in our body. We're not present in that conversation. Maybe something that person said made us think about something that we felt like we needed to think about in the moment, and we just zoned out. We're doing the smile and nod, but we're not really there. And why I say we secretly do these things is because people usually don't realize. They think that we're all there, that we're listening, that we're tracking, we're smiling and nodding, right? But we're not actually listening. So number one is that we zone out of a conversation. Number two is that we keep ourselves really, really busy. Have you ever looked at your schedule and you literally just feel the dread like wash over you? You're dreading the day and all the things that you have to do. You're looking at the week and all of a sudden you feel like you can't breathe because you're like, how am I possibly going to get all this done? I don't want to do any of these things, right? You guys can probably hear from the passion in my voice that I get it because I've been there. You probably have a really packed schedule. You probably have little to no downtime, no time to yourself to just chill and relax. When you look at that calendar, like I think of my Google Calendar, which is everything to me. When I look at my calendar, is there white space, meaning nothing in that day? Or is it just packed? Is it packed full? And what does yours look like? I feel like if you're listening today, you're probably someone who keeps pretty busy. When or if life ever gets slow, you find yourself filling it with just one more thing, packing one more thing into your life, maybe biting off more than you can chew, right? I know people in my personal life, I don't want to call them out here. Again, I've been in the situation before too, but when life felt like, oh, this is manageable, what do? We sign up for one more committee. We decide to go back and get a degree. We volunteer for something, right? We just find something to fill that space. And again, I told you today, we're going to talk about the why. Not only that you're secretly doing the thing, but why are you secretly doing the thing? The reason that those of us with high functioning anxiety tend to pack our schedule is because we really want to avoid actually slowing down. And I know you're thinking, no, Erin, like that's not true. I really just want life to slow down. I really want to chill, right? But the truth is you don't, because when you slow down and you actually have that white space, you have time to feel what you're feeling. And if you have high functioning anxiety, remember you have all the same feelings of anxiety. So what you feel is constant anxiety. Okay. That's not a fun thing to feel. It's really hard to sit in the stillness of anxiety, to have your body feel like it's buzzing, to have that like want to crawl out of your skin kind of feeling, to have that urge to like get up and go do something, to feel like you can barely breathe. That is not a fun thing to feel. So as a way to avoid actually slowing down and feeling what you're doing, actually maybe taking a second to say, wait, do I want to feel like this? Right? We don't want to do that. We don't want to do the slowdown as much as you think you do. You really don't. And so we avoid it. Okay. Another reason you might be doing this, you might be keeping your schedule really packed, is because you think that your worth is in what you do. You think that in order to be worthy, you have to be productive. You have to be achieving. You have to be doing. I hear this all the time. I even hear this in younger kids. I heard an 11-year-old, one of my daughter's friends the other day, say, I didn't really have a productive day. And you could tell that she felt like a little bit guilty about that. Like, man, my day wasn't really productive. I was like, oh, so you rested today? She was like, yeah. And I was like, well, that makes sense because we had a day off of school. Like, of course you would rest. And she was like, yeah, but it's in the minds of all of us is what I want you to hear. Like all of us feel like we have to be productive to be good enough and to be worthy. And that really could not be farther from the truth. We think that achieving, of getting some mysterious place where it says, check, you're successful, you've made it. We think that that's the goal because that's what we've been taught is the goal. But what if that actually isn't the goal? What if that's kind of the opposite of the goal, right? What if the goal instead was like inner peace? That's food for thought. How much more of a difference and an impact could we make in this world if we actually weren't running around like a chicken with our head cut off and we actually had time to, I don't know, be peaceful, be calm, think about what would make a change, what would make a difference, and then have the time, the calendar space to make that happen. How do you think all of this, the podcast and my programs and my coaching and my breath work, how do you think all of that was possible? If I kept running the rat race, I would never have slowed down enough to say, wait, what am I actually doing with my life? And is this what I want to actually be doing? And is this making a difference or maybe not? But it takes that time of actually slowing down, of not having a full schedule to be able to do that. Again, no judgment, no shame. You guys know I say that pretty much on every episode because I've been in your shoes and I'm speaking on these 5 things that people with high functioning anxiety secretly do. I'm speaking on these things from experience. Been there, done that, lived the life. Wasn't the life for me. And I doubt it's the life for you. And that's why you're listening today. Let's move on to number 3 of 5 things people with high functioning anxiety secretly do. Number 3 is offer to help. We offer to help and then we instantly regret it. We're like, oh, why did I do this? Who has done this before? You know you're at your max. You know you're already there, but you agree to take on more. Or maybe you do have one free white space day in that calendar where you have like nothing planned. And what do? You fill it with something else. This goes back to a lot of what we just talked about in number 2, but there could be some other reasons that you're doing it in addition to everything we just talked about in number 2. Maybe you like to help because you just like helping people. Like you're a helper. I get it. I'm a helper. I love having what is called a helper's high, doing something to better the life of somebody else and feeling good from that. I think that there is nothing wrong with helping. What I want you to really take notice of is how much you're really balancing out, meeting your own needs and meeting the needs of others. Okay. If you're constantly helping people to a point when you're on the back burner and you feel like crap, then what's the point? Like, how is that actually doing anything positive? Because all you're doing is running yourself in the ground. Maybe you like to help because you're a people pleaser. Like when people ask you to help, you have a really hard time saying no. And it's because, again, you don't want to let people down. You think people are counting on me, like they really need my help. I'll just do it. Maybe you're that yes girl, the person who says yes when people ask. Since I've been doing this work, and I say this work in such a broad term, you guys heard me talk all about my story in episode number 1. But since I've been doing this work, I catch women especially doing this all the time, sometimes men too, but all the time. You can see in somebody that they want to say, no, I can't do it. And what do they say? What comes out instead? They're like, yeah, I'll do that. Sure. Oh, I just hate it. Like I want to rescue them and save them. And then I realize like, of course I do because I'm a helper at heart and I get that. But being the yes person always puts you last. When you say yes to something else, you say no to yourself because we all have the same 24 hours. And if you're just giving and giving and giving and filling up your time with things for other people, then you have no time left for you. I know that as moms, we especially fall into this. As people in relationships or caregivers for other people, we especially fall into this. And again, I know it's a hard habit to break. I definitely want to talk a lot more about this. It's one of my favorite things to do, not on today's episode, but I want to teach you guys how to actually say no nicely, how to put in place some healthy boundaries, and how to take back your time. Since I've been able to cut like so much of these things, what I call the fluff, out of my life. And I don't mean fluff in a bad way. I just mean things that really aren't serving me, things that don't light me up, things that I'm not passionate about, things that I would just be doing to be a robot and like run through the motions. Since I've cut those things out of my life and started saying no to things I wasn't really interested in, there's been a huge difference for me. I have more space to devote to the things that I actually am passionate about, including this podcast, having time to show up and serve you guys, including my clients, including just people that reach out and need support. And then, of course, including myself, right? Like inner peace is real to me. Inner peace is the goal of knowing that I'm doing what is in alignment with me and the purpose that I was put here to do on this earth. You can't do that when you're saying yes to everyone else. Again, just more food for thought. Okay. Let's move on to number 4 of the 5 things people with high functioning anxiety secretly do. Number 4 is we need things organized. Okay. I feel this like deep in my soul. Organization feels so good to me. So good to me. um, I struggle to relax if my house is a mess. And let's say that my husband cleans up and I come home and things just like you can just see that they're cleaner. I instantly feel lighter when things are put away, when things are in their place. It just, like it feels so good. I also really love to write lists. I like to organize my thoughts. Just like for an example of this, a long time ago, years and years ago, probably when the kids, I don't even know, maybe before the kids, I made a packing list, like a list of things to pack. And it's kind of changed along the years, like depending on what stage of life we're in. But every single time we go on a trip, I pull up this packing list and I go through my list. Like, where would I be without my list? And not in like, I know people throw around the term OCD type way. I don't have any tendencies like that, but I do just love organization. I live and breathe by my Google Calendar. I use it for work. I use it for business. I use it for personal. I say if it's not on my calendar, I'm not going. It's not happening because it's not even in my world if it's not on my calendar, right? So I get wanting to feel organized. My co-counselor even jokes with me that I have a spreadsheet for every single thing, like literally everything. And she's not lying. She's like, let me guess, you got a spreadsheet for that? I'm like, of course I got a spreadsheet for that. Because I work best when things are organized, when they're sorted out, when they're in a spreadsheet. Every single day, I have like my plan laid out loosely. Things happen, right? I have like a to-do list of what I want to do. And I'm not talking about like on my relaxing days. Like I still want to have an idea of what I'm going to do, but it doesn't have to be like perfect. But what I want you to hear is your girl needs things organized. And you probably do too. I function best when things are organized. And why is this, right? When our minds are so busy, when our schedules are so busy, our lives are so busy, see number 2 and number 3 that we just talked about, it helps us to feel in control when we're organized, right? It can be like the calm to our chaos, and that chaos being like what's going on in the mind. So when we're organized, when we have a list, when things are tidy, it's one way for us to feel in control when everything else feels crazy. And you'll notice if you just pump the brakes for a second and notice how many things you're doing in your life to actually help you feel in control. I have said this before on one of the episodes. I was a control freak. Like I wanted to know every single thing that was going to happen. I hated surprises. Control was what I sought out in life. And a lot of that was stemming from my anxiety. Now that I've done a lot of work around feeling free from anxiety, I feel that inner peace already, that I don't have to rely on things to help me feel in control of my life. I've actually learned to release the need for control, which is like, what? The Erin from years past would be like, yeah, right. Like, absolutely not. You're lying to me. But I've learned to actually ease up. And all of these things are things that I teach inside of my program, Empowered and Free from Anxiety. I teach a simple step-by-step process for how to feel less anxious. You'll learn how to break down anxiety into bite-sized, understandable pieces. And I teach you how to take action against anxious thoughts without the overwhelm. Okay? No overwhelm here. We don't have space for that. Empowered and Free from Anxiety helps you live a life with less anxiety. So if any of this is resonating, check out erinkimbrell.com/free for more information. Right now, our enrollment is not open, but I would love to see you in our next group. Okay. Number 5 of the 5 things people with high functioning anxiety secretly do is we secretly struggle with self-confidence. And I know this is like, feels a little bit backwards because we see people that we would deem as successful. I see this even in kids, people that seem successful, my high achievers, right? People who maybe have earned some awards or are well known for things, and they seem like they have it all together or that they've made it. But truly on the inside, they're really deeply struggling with self-confidence. And we know these people, including you, are so incredibly talented. You are so incredibly talented, but you never feel good enough. You have so much self-doubt, just always questioning yourself, wondering if you can do it, thinking of all the things that you haven't been able to do in the past or ways that you've failed, that inner critic in your head is just running wild with it all. And because of this, because of the lack of self-confidence, we hold ourselves back from our goals, from actually going for things. Think about that right now. Like, pause for a second. Think about a goal that you've had, or a dream, or a thought, something that you're like, oh, that actually sounds fun. Like, that would be awesome. I would love to do that. Oh, but I can't. Think of what that thing is for you. What are you not allowing yourself to do right now? And now think about why that is, right? Again, I bet money, okay, not money, but I bet that your mind is the thing that's holding you back. And I say this again because I've lived that life, right? And one of my goals inside of Empowered and Free from Anxiety is to help you go for your goals, right? I want you to feel free from your anxiety once and for all, and be able to step into your self-confidence, to step into your inner knowing and your truth, and trust yourself that you got it, that you are good enough, and that you can totally do whatever is on your heart and on your mind. The shifts that I've seen women make inside of Empowered and Free from Anxiety, they truly are mind-blowing, like mind-blowing. I had this conversation with my husband of like, what am I doing to cause women to do these things that are huge changes in their life? Leaving jobs that are like sucking the life out of them, leaving relationships that aren't meeting their needs and aren't willing to meet their needs, leaving homes or even areas of the country that are dragging them down or holding them back. All of these things and so much more have happened. It really is incredible when I like sit with it for a second. I'm like, wow. And I'm not saying it's all me. What it truly is me just being able to light a spark inside of you to remove those barriers, to remove that heavy weight that anxiety tends to hold, and then just like watching you flourish. That's exactly what it is. It's so freaking good, you guys. Okay. Empowered and Free from Anxiety. I know I've been talking about it. Enrollment is not open right now. We're actually in our round right now as I speak, as this episode is published, but I am happy to add you to the wait list. I typically open up this program once or twice a year. If this is something that sounds like it might be right for you, like I said, you can check out the website, erinkimbrell.com/free. If you feel like, yeah, I kind of want to know more about this, like I want to be on the wait list, send me a message, find me on social media, send me an email that just says wait list. This is not a bot. I'm not going to reply back with like some automated message. It really is me. But I would just love to like encourage you and support you and help you along the way if you feel like this is something that you want to do. So I hope today was really helpful. I hope you gained some new awareness and understanding about what's actually going on inside of that mind, that busy brain. Today, again, to recap, we talked about 5 things people with high functioning anxiety secretly do. Number 1, zone out of a conversation. Number 2, keep really busy. Number 3, offer to help and then instantly regret it. Number 4, need things organized. And number 5, struggle with self-confidence. Thanks for listening today, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, friends. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. You don't know how much it means to me. If you'd like more behind the scenes content, inspiration, and daily reminders that encourage and uplift you, follow me on Instagram at @HeyErinKimbrell and send me a DM to say hey. If any of the episodes have been super helpful for you, please consider leaving me a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. It helps me so incredibly much, and it allows the podcast to be seen by other people who need it. If you want to learn more from me, head to erinkimbrell.com. That's where you'll find all my free resources, read the podcast show notes, and learn more information about my online coaching and breathwork programs that help you create the life you want. If you want to keep the conversation going from today's episode, join us in our exclusive podcast Facebook community, Empowered and Free, Help for High Functioning Anxiety. I'm here for you, and I'm always cheering you on. I'll see you next time. I'm Erin Kimbrell, and this is the Empowered and Free podcast.